We're excited to chat with you today about what's going on here in the EIT building,
Yeah.
full of many different things I'm unfamiliar with, so I want to hear a lot about it. And
Yeah.
tell me initially, like, what brought you over from your professional career into academia?
So it was about, I guess, 6 years ago. I was working at Arkansas Electric, and we were working in research with it was a seed center, Department of Energy, Industry, University Collaborative, and I'd been working with folks at UA Little Rock and Fayetteville, and as the industry advisory board, and lots of research projects, and they weren't quite hitting what we needed in industry, and so I was like, man, I really want to do this. I really want to do something like this. And like in hiring, I noticed that a lot of the cybersecurity programs, they just didn't provide enough for the students coming out to be comfortable. And I thought we could do it better. And UA Little Rock gave me an opportunity, gave me kind of a blank slate, and was really fortunate to come over and just kind of do what I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you seem like a pretty young guy, so you must have been coming up. You
Yeah.
were probably, this maybe technology wasn't as so like the cybersecurity piece so important
Right.
as we were, getting older. I know for me, I was like, oh, just use the same password for everything. No big deal.
Exactly.
But cybersecurity has become such an integral part of our everyday lives to make sure that our technology is not affected
Yeah.
by sundry individuals, if you will.
Right.
But when you were coming up, what made you decide like, hey, I'm going to go this direction with my career and go for my
Yeah.
education in this sector?
I really like cybersecurity because it puts you in front of people. It's a people problem. You're working with adversaries and you're working with users. Like you talked about your password, like everybody that just hates passwords and they always use the same one. And so you work with the like people have a lot of pain points in cybersecurity. But you're also working with like the adversarial piece where they're figuring out how to get into your computer, and it gets you from behind the keyboard and talking with people if you do it right. And that just kind of appealed to me. And just kind of the cryptography, the forensic piece. There's a narrative to cybersecurity that I really enjoyed, and so I started in programming and industrial control systems, and then quickly moved into cybersecurity for that reason.
Where the passion comes in for the teaching and the educating and watching these students come out and join the workforce. I mean, was that something now when you're working with students that you're like, hey, I'm walking in here preparing you for a job?
Yeah.
Or are you able to kind of combine, not only am I preparing you for a job, but I'm helping to be inspiring to you to where you really love what you're doing and it doesn't
Right.
feel like work?
Yeah, I mean, I want to make sure we're selling the right product so that it's going to feel like work eventually. So I want them to realize that a lot of them come in and say, I love gaming and I love hacking, and it's like that's great, but I also want you to be employed at the end of this. It's the passion for me is I just saw a lot of kids. I call them kids, but I guess I can do that, right?
Yes.
I saw a lot of them come through, and we put them in situations where they have complex legal environments in cybersecurity. They have compliance frameworks they're dealing with, and so we put them in these high risk situations early on in their career, and so that really kind of I wanted to
No pressure,
prepare.
right?
Yeah, no, it's just unfair that they had no prior training to this going in, especially if you just computing background. And so I wanted them to have more of a background. Unfortunately, the like a lot of the educational standards they have that there. It's just a lot of universities aren't able to transition very quickly, and UA Little Rock was, and that's what really made us successful.
Well, and that brings me to the question I have about UA Little Rock in specific, because this university is like this whole, I mean, I wish I could compare it to something programming wise, but I don't have the knowledge. It
Yeah,
just seems like this huge spider web of all these different arms that reach out into different areas where people are able to be successful, but at a significantly higher level than you find at a lot of universities.
yeah.
So is that what originally attracted you to UA Little Rock? I mean, what brought you here specifically to work with the university?
Yeah. It, the Emerging Analytics Center, they were doing a lot of really cool things, and they moved really fast. And I noticed for a university, they were able to make changes and pivot pretty quickly, and you don't see that across other universities. There's a lot of entrenchment, a lot of turf, if you will. And what I found here was a lot more collaboration and that allowed us to make needed changes to the education, and a supportive administration. I think that just the students that we serve, like we recognize the need to prepare them and change very very quickly, because a lot of them are first timers, a lot of them are coming back, so the stakes are pretty high. And I just found that type of supportive environment that we were able to make the necessary changes. And yeah, I mean, a lot of my friends are jealous because
Well, I am specifically because what you said about academia in general, like it's very difficult. You hear a lot about, okay, yeah, there's all this red tape and there's all this takes forever if you're dealing with the university. But my experience as well has been like, hey, let's move quick. So it's exciting to hear that I'm not alone in that. And I feel like the rest
right,
of yeah, everyone I've met here on campus is like same thing. They're going like, hey, let's move, let's make things change. And that's when we first stepped into the EIT building. We went into the EAC, like I was telling you, the Emerging Analytics Center, and we
right.
were blown away by some of the things that they were doing. So can you tell me a little bit more about when you came here and you saw what they were doing there at the EAC? Like what really was the first thing that you jumped into? It was like, I want to take part in this project, or I want to get students involved in this particular area.
Yeah, I mean, it was very research focused, and so I just came in, started writing, and heads down. I didn't really get to see a lot of the campus. It took me several years, just even to get back. There's just so much going on, and we're at a point with technology, with AI, especially at that time. AI was very much in a research age coming up, and so just very intense writing collaboration. But then as we started deploying more of the educational programs, I was able to see the rest of the campus and say, okay, this is a great place to be. They let you do what's needed for research, but they also let you, as long as it's student focused and benefits the community, there's a lot of support here.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So in the cave, there
Yeah.
was the
Hmm.
cave itself,
Uh-huh.
which if you haven't been in the cave or know what it is, do the research.
Yeah.
It's a great place, and there's a lot going on with the actual technology. But then I was walked over into the room next to the cave, and there was some information going on about stars and being able to look at this map and trying to figure out where everything is. And then, as
Yeah.
I understand it, there's some work with some of our governmental entities that is pretty high up for when you think about a university. What are they doing for different departments? And it sounds like to me there's a lot going on there. So, what are some of the projects you're working on right now that are sort of mind blowing to me as
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
novice?
So we're at an exciting point. We just opened this new research center, Cyberspace Operations Research and Education Center, and have funding from came from through the Attorney General. So we're really excited about that. But we're at a point where we have I guess another blank slate to kind of look at the way we're doing things. And so it starts with research and finding out what are the problems that the community is facing, what are some of the practical issues that we're facing both in education and in operationalizing some of this technology needed for cybersecurity. But it goes directly to education. So research feeds directly into our education. Um, so one of the exciting thing is we're taking educational programs and deploying them in ways that have never been done before. And I know that that's not like, it's not necessarily writing papers or putting out this new technology, but getting those new programs out there is very exciting. We're doing it in ways that we're getting down to the high schools, kind of what the governor's done with opening up the access to these certificate programs. And we're able to get a lot of our early college programs down into into the high schools, secondary schools. That's important for cybersecurity, but it's also important for AI. A very similar problem that you have this rapidly changing field and the workforce skills that are desperately needed, and it allows us to work in the same space with AI, and same with any emerging technology that you being able to change the educational program to prepare that. So that's kind of the two pillars. The other one is innovation, like what we see in the classroom.
There's a lot of innovation in this building.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, I love it because it's very applied. We're working on problems that are going to immediately benefit industry, and we tie innovation to education through service learning. So this is a space where our students are benefiting the community that would otherwise not be able to take advantage of cybersecurity and AI innovation. but they're able to do so. It meets their workforce need, but it's also meets their need to get out to the community and get those innovations. And then that innovation and then entrepreneurship really want to create these new economies that the Central Arkansas and Arkansas as a whole can benefit from having a skilled workforce and them thinking about what's next. Like, why can't I do this in Arkansas? Why can't I create a new company in Arkansas that's high tech, that's fast growing?
Yeah.
Um,
Speaking of entrepreneurship, if you will,
oh,
when
that.
when you're looking at a student who says like, "Hey, I don't want to take the classic course. I want to go start my own thing." How do you really guide and I guess protect their innovation and their ideas
Yeah.
by also like, "Hey, you got to stay in the lane as far as what your curriculum looks like and what graduation is getting closer, and these are the things you need to meet objectively," but also kind of foster and help them to say like, "And you can also do this other thing when you graduate and you have your degree." Like, is there some guidance there, some mentorship that will push them in
Yeah.
a direction where they can be inspired to do something other than maybe go to work for one of those tech companies?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's something that's hard because a lot of students they just don't see the potential that and it's there and it's important to take advantage of that early. Um, what we're working on and we're not there yet, but working on developing an ecosystem. A lot of people in Central Arkansas are looking at how can we create that ecosystem where they are visioning because they do have the vision, but they just don't know the realm of possibility and make that known to them and then kind of guide them through that process of to make sure they're getting, like you said, getting the classes that they need, but also the skills. We have a lot of students that love the technology, but the skills to be able to network and to get in front of people and talk
Different kind of
about.
networking system.
Yeah, 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 right. The different type of network. But get in front and talk about their ideas to investors. That's a different skill set as well. So our class this last semester we have students working on incredible ideas and working with business school, working with our graduate school to really kind of create that entrepreneurial environment where students kind of expect that. I'm a little jealous of what we had in kind of the 1950s, 60s out of Little Rock, where you had this high tech explosion of companies, and you just don't see that anymore. Like
Yeah.
I want to go around downtown Little Rock and see high tech companies on the buildings.
You have
And
been charged with this responsibility, my friend.
there's a lot of people that do, right? And so I think UA Little Rock has I mean we have a charter that we really need to like get our students to think about this, because the first generation people returning to school, they have great ideas, but they haven't thought that, hey, I could really do something. It's not just for Silicon Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that we can do in the heartland.
Well, and it's interesting because I completely understand from like an entrepreneurial mindset, like maybe it's not a great idea, but I have what I think are great ideas when it
Yeah,
comes to like, okay, I want to create an app that matches attorneys and expert witnesses or finds some way to collect all that information and put it into one app. And I've got a friend who's trying to create an app for real estate agents to have a landing page. I mean,
yeah,
there's all these great ideas around,
yeah,
but these people are just entrepreneurial and not educated on the back end of how to make that happen. And so they need that connection with students here
yes,
that are going to graduate and say, okay, I know how to build/do
right,
this project. So that's really exciting to hear because I
yeah,
think a lot of people, if you're not real familiar with UA Little Rock, you don't recognize how advanced the technology is, how much there is to be offered here. So it's really exciting to hear that collaborative initiative is coming and helping students to really engage on both
yeah,
directions. But I do want to go back to something that's interesting for me when you said adversarial.
uh-huh,
Like at the end of the day, everyone's scared of getting hacked.
yeah,
Like that's their thing. But you had also mentioned that students are really interested in that piece of it.
yeah,
And an anecdote, my son started going to high school and he was like the only kid that every single time they would give him the Chromebook, he would find a way to get around the firewall
yeah.
and be able to go and watch. He would literally watch episodes of Outer Banks during class.
Okay,
And they kept catching him and they were like, we don't know how to stop him. Like
yeah,
he's very good at this.
mhm,
So then he went into coding class and he started working with the teacher really closely and it
yeah,
completely sparked a different interest. But it was something where he took the adversarial position
yeah.
and ended up on the other side. Do you have a lot of students who come in here like that?
I think we're all inherently adversarial. We have it within us to understand. Yeah, we do, and we have a lot of high school students that are in that same boat that and traditional education systems just don't work for them, and they're not interested. And so I think this does capture some of those students that have incredible skills, but in maybe their interest or their talents aren't necessarily targeted toward your traditional high school education
Yeah, I
system.
mean, what do you
Yeah,
do with that kind of energy and excitement? And you're sitting
exactly.
there
Yeah,
doing with a PC and you're trying to build things, but where do you put it, right?
yeah,
So this is that space where you can
it,
put it, which is really exciting to hear.
yeah,
And then the other thing, the kind of word that you or term that you've been using I'm so excited to talk about this is
yeah,
the AI
yeah,
situation. I
yeah,
mean, for me, I'm growing up in the generation, and I think again, you're a younger guy, so we're young together, I think. But you go and you grow up and there's no cell phones.
right.
No such thing. You're on a landline.
Hmm.
But then you go through and now all of a sudden cell phones are a thing. Now all of a sudden computers in your hand are a thing.
Yeah,
Now all of a sudden there's AI and everyone's jumping on ChatGPT and going like, what's the answer to my question?
everyone, right.
Yeah, to the point where the high school actually sent an email out and was like, please stop writing emails with AI to the parents.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, and the teachers are going like, if your students use AI to create essays, we're going to know. Like, first of all, how big of an impact has AI made on the vision and the mission
Yeah,
of what you're doing here in the CIT building?
yeah.
And secondly, like, how do you see some technology being able to kind of interrupt
Mhm.
or work with
Yeah.
situations like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. This year, has we've seen a scale of change that is just even between the internet, cell phones, social media, like the cloud computing. Nothing has scaled as rapidly as what we're seeing with AI in terms of like transforming all aspects of life.
Yeah.
And there are ways to work with this technology. There are ways that we can educate our students to understand kind of the components of the technology and ways to use it that will increase their cognitive reasoning. I mean, it's all about making sure their attention is captured. There's a lot of risk in AI shortcutting education, and that's very
Hmm.
dangerous. Um, we're in that area of the technology where there's not a lot of safeguards for students, especially going into the learning stage. That it's very dangerous for them to short circuit that learning process. But at the same time, AI can capture your attention. I mean, we've figured out language, like right,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
writing. A lot of what the educational system has built up to teach students is very hard decoding, encoding skills of reading and writing that's kind of been conquered over this last year, and so we're trying to figure out what does that mean. But I think the capturing students and their interest, there's a lot of potential there to increase that cognitive processing. But it has to be like that. That's where I think the educational piece comes in, is they have to learn what these components are, and then how to use it and how to integrate it into systems.
Like work with it instead of have it work for you, I suppose. Or maybe it's a combination.
It is a combination. It's a systems problem. Like we are developing new systems with AI agents. So we in cybersecurity we think of systems as people, processes, and technology. And what AI has done is there's like this technology people thing
Yeah.
that's there, and it's very important that we get that right. You can't just take a critical system in healthcare or the power grid and say, okay, we're going to turn this decision, this agency over to artificial intelligence to perform this function. And those decisions are, they're easy to overlook. And so understanding how we build AI into the system where we have human agency in ways that are appropriate, where all of the safety and reliability constraints of like these real world systems are kept in check. That's the key problem that we're focused on.
Yeah. Well, and it's high. You have such a high level of education and experience in the particular field. And for me, it's like hearing this is really encouraging because we also hear in the general sense of terms that, oh, AI is going to take over everything.
Right.
But you're telling me how much human interaction actually happens with these systems and talking directly with people about,
Yeah.
hey, this is how you need to protect yourself. These are the things that you need to look out for. That's exciting to hear. But I would say, I'm challenged to think beyond in this conversation. Like,
Mhm.
well, how can I use it safely and effectively?
Yeah.
And how do I protect myself from the risks of using AI?
Yeah.
What does that look like when you're going towards an industry that, like you mentioned, healthcare, for
Right.
instance? What is the idea, or is there one, of how you could integrate AI successfully into a market like that,
Yeah.
and the kind of the needs you can meet without so much risk associated.
There's a lot of engineering problems there. I think like healthcare is an example. You have privacy of information, and you have to think about the ways humans communicate with this technology far exceeds what we've done with social media or any other thing, or like Google searching. With Google searching, we just put a bunch of blurbs to like find something, but with AI, we tell our deepest secrets,
Hmm.
things that we're ashamed that we don't know. We'll type that into
Yeah.
into AI to figure out. So the amount of like personal information, it's not even personal information, like intrinsic information
Hmm.
to us that we're pumping into AI. And like with healthcare, we put like so much healthcare information. What is this spot? Like I feel this way. What am I? And it's really good at that, right? But at the same time, this stuff goes somewhere,
Yeah.
and all that amount of information going, it far exceeds like our social security number. Like the things that
Yeah.
we're worried about, like our credit card number and social security number, like our intrinsic self, we're just like pouring into these systems. So we have to be careful with that. Um,
Gosh,
yeah,
that was a general education lesson for me right there. So I imagine these students are really getting a lot of benefit from what you're doing, because
yeah, yeah.
I'm going like, wait a second. So I shouldn't have done the ChatGPT challenge where I said, what's the dumbest question I asked this year? And it gave me back. It was like, you don't ask dumb questions. You're just really, really busy and you don't have a lot of time. I was
Right.
like, okay, well, please draft email.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we just move forward with AI and we haven't really understood. And so I think that coming back toward that governance and understanding how can we use this responsibly is very important. But again, like with going back to healthcare systems, integrating these technologies, you also have to think about, um, do are we giving it so much agency, giving it the autonomous execution or the autonomous nature to make decisions for us in ways that we really don't fully understand the consequences. And I mean, the simple way of thinking about it is if we allow AI to start making decisions that we don't understand, I think we've moved beyond a barrier that we shouldn't have crossed.
Yeah.
Like the vibe coding. Are you familiar with that term?
No, tell me.
So vibe coding has been like a term earlier this year of like, I don't know how to code, but now AI just codes for me. And so I was like, hey, I want to do this web page and I want this and this and this and this. And people lost their jobs for vibe coding because they said, well, AI is replacing coding. That's AI is replacing
But
X.
there's could be danger in coding, right? Like if they tell you a step in ChatGPT and it's like a collection of all
Yeah.
these different people's inputs, which is essentially what it is, right? I mean, there's a giant cloud of everyone's information that they're putting in. Is that right?
It is, but there's also a lot of inference. And so, I mean, it is very good at what it does. But when you're vibe coding and say, do create this complicated code that I don't really fully understand, you put that in an organization, then it's very dangerous because now you don't have any human expert that knows what in the world we're doing in the system. They can't work on that component of the system, and so that's another area. And privacy is one, but just turning over agency is another. We have to be very careful with.
I'm both inspired and terrified. So
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, me
it's
too.
exciting. But yeah,
Yeah,
okay, well, that's good to know I'm in
yeah,
good company.
yeah.
So the other thing about, working with these students and you talk about all of these different changes, it sounds like it's an evergreen career, really. Like you could come here, you can get your degree, you can really focus on the computer science piece of it, and then you can go out in the world and get a job that is never going to go away, right? Because everyone's always going to need cybersecurity. And it
Yeah.
sounds like there's always going to need to be some sort of regulation and understanding of how AI works. But you're, of course, working along it at lightning speed because it keeps developing and you have to keep
Right.
learning. So, but it is evergreen, right? I mean, it's never going to change in the sense that people will always need cybersecurity.
The it, like with anything in our field, that's one of the things. It would be nice to have a more stable field to teach in. You know, like
Like Shakespeare never changes.
right. I know, and you could just like focus on that. But with cybersecurity, if we were just to say, okay, let's say we're evergreen, and so we're just going to teach the same courses the next 10, 15, 20 years. It's not going to work.
Just wouldn't work.
Because cybersecurity changes with technology, and so the defense, the techniques that people use, changes as the technology changes. And if we teach the same defense, there's a lot of like philosophical aspects of cybersecurity that stay the same, but there's a lot of skills as well. It's kind of like a professional degree. It's not listed as, but it very much is like nursing or
It's a
legal.
specialized technique. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, it's very specialized.
yeah,
So, what I expected is exactly what got delivered to me in the sense that you are extremely impressive with your depth of knowledge and the things that you guys are doing here. So, I feel like these students are very lucky to have this experience, and they're also in this beautiful building with all of these advanced technologies. So, tell me about coming to work. Like, and as we move closer to the end of this conversation, I don't want to miss this opportunity to ask. I mean, you're walking into this building every day, surrounded by high quality. We're actually in a room right now that looks like it's being developed for student use. I mean,
right.
how exciting is that for you to actually work in this building on campus and be able to kind of realize your dream of not only educating these students, but you get
Yeah,
to kind of follow along with all of these new technologies. You're just
yeah.
charged with the idea like you have to know before they do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a cog in the wheel. Like the people that work here, we've hired somebody from coming out of the FBI.
Nice.
Yeah,
You have your own NCIS show here. Like
can't I don't know if we can talk about, but yeah, I mean, it very much is like just the room next to us is the very high tech forensic area. So exciting there. Well, we have somebody coming out of the Air Force. Operations manager, Naval Academy, somebody from secondary education. Like we have a very diverse group here of faculty, and what I love about it is everybody really cares about the students. Like that's our passion at the end of the day. And so the technology's cool, innovation's cool, but ultimately, like these are student faculty, and that's what's really exciting. One of the cool things that goes on in this room is we work with like the underserved communities in throughout Arkansas. Like we collaborate with community colleges throughout Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Fayetteville, Ouachita Baptist. Like we a lot of collaboration to get service learning opportunities. We work with the school districts, healthcare hospitals like rural hospitals, startup companies, small businesses, nonprofits that you can't go out and spend $50,000 on cybersecurity assessments.
so
And
gosh, they're learning and serving at the same time.
yeah, exactly. Like they are working alongside faculty professionals, and but they're also providing a need to society that is not going to be filled. And so that's what's really exciting about working in this space is you have that service learning, so like such meaningful service learning taking place.
Yeah, and you have a really cool environment to do it in.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, yeah, we were like, oh, we get to film in there. Okay, great. Like,
yeah.
this is going to
Right.
be really cool. We'll learn more
Yeah,
about it. So, as what's the most rewarding part for you? Like you were talking about just now was collaboration, but at the end of the day, you go home, you're thinking about here was my day at work. Like, what is the most exciting thing for you when you watch a student come in, their first year, and
yeah.
then they grow, and you're here long enough to watch them go all the way through and
Oh yeah.
graduate? I mean, what's the most satisfying aspect of going home from work after a day of hanging out in the EIT building?
Yeah, man, just to see them. I think when they graduate and when they came with so little expectations of themselves, so much imposter syndrome, so little confidence, and you see that over time build up, and they just like, wow, I can do this, and just to see it kind of like be life changing for them and give them opportunities that they otherwise would not have had. That's what really makes it special.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's really exciting because I have never had a conversation with someone who has so much knowledge in this area of technology. It's a little intimidating. I feel a
No,
little bit imposter syndrome over here,
no,
but
definitely not.
yeah, but it's something that, I want to kind of swing back to the whole UA Little Rock thing. I mean, here we are on campus. This building is amazing, and the funding that goes into this program, making sure that these students have an opportunity. And there's really not, in my opinion, from doing the research online, which I did not use ChatGPT to do.
Okay.
I have an understanding that this university just has something very rare when it comes to these kind of programs and this kind of education. And so, if you were talking to a high school student right now that's about to graduate high school and is considering all these different schools and all these different places, maybe they want to get out of Little Rock or maybe they want to stay, but they're just not sure where to take all of the information. Like my kid, right? Like he
Right.
doesn't know. Well, he does because I'm here, but
Yeah, yeah.
he doesn't. If he doesn't know what is offered to him, like what would be your advice to that high school student, like living here in Little Rock, that's going to graduate and has all these choices to make
Yeah.
about where to go and choose their cybersecurity education?
Yeah. A lot of it just the breadth of options that you have and just the cool things that you get to work on. I think that draws them in, and they don't necessarily think about something close to home. as an option. Like, well, that's boring. I want to go someplace big and do these great things. And really, we have, like, if you look around the nation, there's not many people who have come together like we have in Arkansas. That, you know, you can go to Pulaski Tech, come to our program. We work hand in hand with them. We have the same curriculum, a lot of the same faculty, and we'll do our best. We're all kind of focused on preparing this student, preparing this workforce. Um, so we really do have something exciting and special here that I think a lot of students just they're not aware of. So,
Well, we're going to use this opportunity to make sure we get that
yes,
information out
thank
to
you.
them and
Yeah,
try to keep talent close to home. Okay, quick question on a personal note. Did
yeah,
you ever have like an idea or an app or a business that I wouldn't want to give away your secret, but a thing that really inspired you to say like, hey, this is a really good idea. I want to pursue it. Or maybe you've built an app we don't know about, or you have a company on the ground that.
yeah. We do have a company, Bastaza, was started here in Arkansas, and that has grown very rapidly. And it was something that we 6 years ago, we were looking at the research that it just wasn't meeting the need, and we think we can do this better. And we have since, like, we compete with Silicon Valley, with companies, Israel, not compete, but we collaborate at their level. And what they see in Arkansas is like, wow, like y'all have, like, we have I have a bunch of homeschool students that come to me into the lab that they're just like purely motivated, and they don't want to go out somewhere else. They love, staying in Arkansas.
Yeah.
And we've made use of that, and people that from other companies, they're like, wow, where'd you get this talent? It's like,
Yeah.
it's here.
It's here. We're
and
growing it here.
and we understand, like, the real problems. Like, we're working on power grid problems and critical infrastructure, rural programs that you just don't have access to on the coastlines.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
oh my gosh, I meant to say way back in the day, you were talking about originally in the booms, there was like Systematics was the first thing, right?
exactly.
That
Yeah,
grew out of here. It was like a
yeah.
big, huge, weren't we like the main focus of financial sector technology
Yeah, yeah,
back in the day?
right, and
Yeah.
and and that's where we want to be. I mean, I think we want to find, let's have another boom.
Yeah. Let's swing around. Instead of being Silicon Valley, we'll be Diamond Mountain since we are the Diamond State. Let's
Yeah,
go
yeah,
that direction.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, cool. Well, this has been a pleasure and an honor to chat with you about this. And I know we're going to use this opportunity to expose our community to all the things that are going on here. And then from here, I'm going to run around the building and find all the new things. And you'll have to try to cybersecurity me out because I'm
Okay.
going to be running through here like a virus.
Yeah,
So
right. I like that.
thank you so much for your time. And
Yeah,
yeah, please go and educate the future
yeah,
of
yeah,
our workforce. And thanks again for coming on the show.
yeah, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course.